In 2012, I drew a random drawing of Rapunzel, and then in 2013, I redrew it, and then the same in 2014, and 2015, and 2016, and 2017. So now it's time to continue tracking my progress and redraw Rapunzel for the 7th time. Here goes. Take 7, let's draw Rapunzel. So you'll see in my first pass of the sketch, I'm being very loose, very sketchy, pardon the term, and I'm trying to just lay out the drawing and make sure that the character fits on the page and that all of the elements of her body fit on the page, and so I know her pose and everything. And then after that's done, I go in and start adding in details to each of these very sketchy lines. So I'll darken some lines, and I'll also just draw completely new lines, because when you lay out your sketch and you have all of these wavy lines and like just lines everywhere, it helps me at least visualize where a line should be. So if like one line is a little off to the left, I'll see it in that first sketch and I'm like, okay, so when I draw this like for a more finalized version, I want that off to the right a little bit, kind of thing. Does that make sense? So you'll see that kind of happening here in this sketch process. And I also flip the canvas because it's very important to help see if your character is, what's the word? Balanced? That's it. You can see if your character's balanced by flipping the canvas, and it's really helpful because it sets you back from the art and like gives you a new perspective on things. So I definitely recommend that. I wish I had a way of doing it traditionally. Like there's ways to do it, but I wish there was like an easier way to do it. I think that would really help my traditional art. But for now, I'm definitely going to take advantage of it with digital art. Oh, and you'll see this time, this is the very first year that I'll be including pastel. I felt like it needed a little something. I did change up the pose this year. It's still very fluid and like there's motion to it, even though this pose is a lot stiffer. Like she's not doing an action, she's just standing there, but it's still soft and fluid in my mind. Here I'm flipping the canvas again, and I'm noticing that her head is just a little off to the right, and I actually fixed that by just making her hair more voluminous on that left side there. That probably was a bit of a cheaty way to do it, but I think it helped a little bit. And you'll see I'm rotating different elements and trying to help with that balance, and I'm adjusting her face, and I just want the character to look, you know, balanced. I keep using that word, but it's very important because when your character's not balanced, it just gives you your art that, like, I don't know, that noobish feel. And I mean, I still make this mistake, but I just think having a balanced character just gives that whole illustration that little extra nudge that just makes it look all that much better. So if you're doing digital, definitely just flip the canvas. It takes like a few seconds and you'll see a lot of the mistakes in your art. Now we are moving into the line art, and there's not much to say here. It's basically the same as how I would always do line art, I guess. I actually this year included her small shred of brown hair from the movie. One thing I do need to mention is that every time I do these redraws of Rapunzel, except for the first 2 times, I don't look back at that drawing. That way, when I redraw it, I'm just redrawing it from my memory of it, and it allows me to put a lot of more of what I've learned throughout the year into the drawing without looking back at it. Because I've noticed in the first couple, when I looked back at it, I used the exact same colors, I put her in the exact same pose, I tried to emulate the things that I did best in that picture and tried to include the things that I do best now. Whereas nowadays, when I redraw it, I'm only using how I draw right now. I'm not allowed to look back and see what I did really well last year. And I think this really helps chronicle like my progress, because now once I'm done drawing, I can compare them and see, what have I gotten lazy at, and what have I improved with? And yes, we do improve over time, which I talk about all the time because it's really, really cool. I mean, yeah. But we can also get very lazy and complacent about things, and by redrawing the same picture every year, I'm able to track that progress, and I'm able to look back and see, what do I need to improve upon? What did I do better last year? What have I improved in now? What have I done well this year? And it's just a very good checkpoint, and it really helps me just see where I'm standing as an artist and what I want to improve on. Now, every year, I'm doing the laces. Laces are so fun to draw. I'm cheating by using layer styles, so if you want to know how to do those laces, definitely Google layer styles in Photoshop. I think you'll learn a lot. There's so many different ways to use them, and I think, yeah, just do a little research and you will be pleased. Anyway, every year with Rapunzel, or these videos when I draw Rapunzel, I like to make a little bit of a checklist of what I'd like to work on for the year. And I feel like this year I did very, very well. I don't remember what my checklist was, but I'm pretty sure I've improved in a lot of the things that I've always wanted to improve on, just because I drew a lot more this year than I think I have in the last 10 years put together. So I've improved like traditionally, and I've actually haven't been doing as much digital lately, but I'm just enjoying art, and I don't think the medium really matters. I just really like drawing. Anyway, the thing that I want to improve on for this year, I'm going to limit it to just one thing so that I know I work on it, and that is I want to work on the compositions of my illustrations. If you don't know what composition is, it's the way you lay out a drawing, and it's about the way that you lay out all of the different elements in one drawing and make it look like one cohesive whole, and like, you know, it's just... You're really worried about the placement of each element and trying to make it all look together and cohesive, and that's something I really want to work on, because lately I just draw a random character on a blank page, and I really want to work on like either using the hair to incorporate the drawing into a shape, or the layout of the arms, or using shapes and squares and circles or something just in the background to encompass that shape. Or also maybe drawing backgrounds that aren't just behind the character, but also contribute to making the whole illustration more pleasing to the eye in some way. So that's what I'm going to be looking into and maybe studying as well. I want to maybe just look into some lessons or something, or I don't know, Google some tips or something, but that's what I want to work on for this entire year. It's a very short to-do list, I guess, but it's something that I've always wanted to improve on, and it's just never really been my focal point, and I think for this year I really want to work on that. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Let me know what you want to work on for this year. What are your 2019 art goals? I can't believe I just said 2019. We're in the year 2019. We're living in the future. I can't get over it. I still remember when we went from 1999 to 2000. Like, that was, whoa, and it's been almost 20 years since then. Okay, let's just look at the drawing. I'm working on the line art. I'm adding in all the flowers, again using layer styles. The layer style I use the most often is the stroke layer style. So what I'm doing is actually drawing in white, and then Photoshop automatically adds the line art around it. It's pretty cool. You gotta be worried about it a little bit because it can be very pixely and gross, so work on a very large canvas, and that sometimes helps with that problem. It's probably best to avoid it as much as possible, but it's one of those little lazy things I do, but I like the way it looks, especially from a distance. Just don't zoom in too much. Alright, now we're going into the coloring, and that is something I want to talk about because over the year, I feel like I have definitely improved with my color schemes and my color theory. I still don't know it well enough to be able to talk about it and explain why I make the decisions that I make, but the tool in Photoshop, I think it's Control B, but it's the color balance tool, and this allows you to take all of the colors in the drawing if you have them all in one layer, and as you use the sliders, you can add more pink to every color in it, or you can add more red to every single color in your drawing, or more blue, or more green, or more yellow, you get the gist. And by doing that, it creates more cohesive color schemes, and it helps me realize that, maybe I want to color something green, okay? And the rest of the drawing is very purpley and pink. I can then pick a green that has more purpley or pink tones to it, and that really helps the whole drawing look more cohesive overall. And this tool has just playing around with it is teaching me so much, and the way that you can look at colors and the way different colors look next to each other, and sometimes you could color like this. I'm coloring her skirt in with a straight purple, but sometimes if you use a light gray next to really saturated colors, it can look purple. Colors are crazy, the eyeballs are crazy, and I have so much to learn, and it's just so exciting. Okay, well, I'm getting a little crazy, but I think it's really cool. And if you're having trouble with color theory, and if you happen to have Photoshop, or I don't know if any other, I assume other art programs have something very similar, but it's the color balance tool, and you can just play around with all the different colors, and you can see what your drawing would look if it was leaning really heavy to the orange side or something like that. And it's just so cool, and I've just learned so much just by playing with this. So if you're having trouble with color theory, even though I can't explain how it works, just play around with this and just pay attention to the way the colors change and the way they all just look. You know, just pay attention to those things and you'll slowly pick up on stuff. It's helped with my traditional art, and there's no color balance tool in traditional art. You have to just pick the colors, you know, especially with markers. So it's definitely helped. My brain is picking up on things, and eventually, hopefully, I'll be able to explain that. But for now, let's look at the drawing. I'm coloring in all the line art, and I'm trying to help it be more cohesive with the whole drawing. You can see her skirt and her dress are leaning very purple right now. I was looking at a reference of, I think it was official Rapunzel art, but it was very cel shaded and 2D, and I was using the colors from that, but it didn't look enough movie-like to me, and I wanted it to be a little bit more movie-like. So I started playing with the colors myself and trying to adjust them. You can see I changed that purple skirt to a little bit more pink, and I'm just trying to make it look overall a lot more like the movie version, because that's my favorite Rapunzel. Oh, and here I'm coloring in her hair with, again, that like the same color that they had used with this 2D drawing, but it was just a little too out there for me, so I'm toning it down, adding some simple shading. I'm actually shading it with like a little bit of a purpley brown color, but it looks brown next to this gold. See, color theory is crazy. And then again, I use the human saturation tool to adjust layers a lot. And then you can see like her hair looked pretty good, but then when I go in and color the line art with this like orangey brown color, it just makes the whole hair look brighter and like it pops, you know? So I really like that. And then I just play around with the levels a little bit. Then I have the flowers, which are on a separate layer, and I use those layer styles so I can like automatically change the color of the line art on that with just like one click, which is pretty cool. Again, layer styles, look them up. And then I can go in and I can like lock the transparent pixels on that layer, and I can just go in and color all of those little flowers, different colors, and it won't color outside of the line art. Pretty cool. And then here I'm adding texture to her bodice. This is a trick I learned actually while doing Rapunzel probably like 5 years ago now. And it just looks so cool. You just add a separate layer and you kind of crop it to the shape that you need. So like this would be her bodice, and I have it underneath the layer of the laces, that's the word. That way I can just draw all over that entire bodice, and I can create that texture, and then I just lower the opacity of it and maybe even set it to multiply so that you can see those shadings, the shading of the bodice through it. And then here I'm coloring in pastel. Originally I'm just picking like a random green color and hoping that it works really well, but then later when I use the color balance tool, it actually adjusts that green color a lot and helps it fit more cohesively into the drawing. I keep using the word cohesive. That must be annoying by now. Anyway, just drawing in pastel, and then of course the lantern, because each drawing has always included the lantern. I can't exactly skip it. And like I mentioned about the composition, I added in these like little square lanterns, like they're really far in the background, very simplistic, and that's kind of supposed to help and lay out the drawing a little bit more. Like there's no background, but I think it helps just, you know, lay out the drawing and lead your eye exactly where you need to go. I'm experimenting. We'll see what happens in the future, but yeah, adding in that star. Actually, it's the sun, isn't it? This is the hardest part, I gotta be honest. I think I just started drawing in the sun like either last year or the year before, and each time I feel like I get worse at it. It's so hard to draw like a perfect circle with these like perfect shapes coming off of it. I decided to keep it really simple, like maybe Rapunzel drew it herself, even though I think in the movie she draws that sun perfectly because it's like ingrained in her mind. That's actually a really important part of the movie, isn't it? Okay, that was a bad idea then to leave it so poopy, but it's maybe she's using the lantern that I drew because she's being such a good friend, even though she's like, that sun looks meh, but I'll use your lantern. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, and then I'm adding shading in. I'm being a little lazy with the shading, but you'll see it actually looks good in the end. And what I've been doing is I just create a new layer, set it to multiply, add a light purple color, and then color that all in, add with shading anywhere that I need to, and I can do it over the entire drawing, and I don't have to switch colors for different elements of the drawing. Oh, there's where I just used the color balance. You see how the colors all just look brighter and just more cohesive? Oh, gorgeous. And then I decided to add a background as well, just like a light color, like it's glowing, and then I added more shading to her. This makes it a little bit more atmospheric and looks like she's actually standing in the darkness and not just in front of it. So that's my finished drawing for 2018. I think it summarizes up my art for the whole year pretty well. Yeah, what do you guys think? Which year do you think was my best year? I know a lot of people like, is it 2016, I think, is a lot of people's favorites. But, as it's me saying this, I have to say that the newest one is my favorite, or I'll just be very sad, so... Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your 2019 art goals are for the year. And let me know if there's a drawing that you redraw every year, and if there's not, maybe you should start one, you know? It's never too early, you know? Start it up and redraw it every year. It's such a fun exercise. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next week. Actually, next year. That's jokes, never funny. Anyway, have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye.